Love and light, everyone. Reiki Reverend here. Have you accepted Grand Source into your life? Well, I'll tell you what, I have, and the cookies are amazing. Oh wait, no, that's the dark side. Well, love and light, I'm here. JK. I wanted to talk to you today about Grand Source. Now, to many people, Grand Source is going to sound a lot like Source, which is going to sound a lot like God, which is going to sound a lot like some deep origin story that, well, is kind of there, but not so much so. I'm going to be reading from my Grand Source Faith Healer Manual. Feel free to request a copy of that at reikireverend.com. Afterwards, I'm going to be covering the future of the healing arts, my take on the future of the healing arts, and we're going to end in Reiki. But first, a quote. "We're all part of something greater, as is the God, goddess of your acknowledgement. Once this is known, it cannot be misplaced or mistaken. Grand Source, as I choose to acknowledge it, is the only relative entity within our frame of understanding at any given moment. Time and space are irrelevant to Grand Source, and as emanations of Source, or the God of our own personal understanding, Grand Source would be the source of Source. Kind of like a grandfather or a father to God. But think bigger picture. I'm not talking about God as Holy Father and our Savior, well, some people saviors and all that good stuff. No, I'm talking about Source. As I choose to understand Source, I see many different emanations of that one God existing on a massive scale. That is to say, I think of it like this. You have us, then you have deities. Well, devas, deities, guides, spirits, angels, what have you. And then you have God. Well, you have, God, divine spirit. And then you have the big God. And then you have Grand Source. Which is, like I said, like Grandpa. But anyway, Grand Source is, in a simpler way of speaking, primordial essence. Now, let's not get too deep into that. Primordial essence, by this frame of speaking, simply means that the original point in which we came to know and grow and aspire to ascend to is primordial essence. Not primordial essence in a source of deep dark well that just goes straight into the ground, kind of that weird type of thing. No, I'm talking about primordial essence. Any emanation in existence may be traced back to an understanding similar to this. Grand Source, the great eagle, as the Native Americans would call it, will always lead you back to this knowledge should you choose to resonate with it. Have you ever felt deep down that God simply wasn't the end? And is this same feeling kind of what drew you away from any type of idea of God? Now, I'm not trying to get religious here. I'm just trying to get real. Have you ever really sat and thought about it? And if so, go ahead and leave me some comments in there. And while you're at it, let me know where you're from. As a conscious grows within Grand Source that is other than its own, that form is split off as an emanation and continues to exist, like fractals existing within a given space as Grand Source continues to resolve. Now, when I say all of that, what does it promote? What type of thoughts do you have? I'll tell you one thing. When I first encountered this entity, when I first encountered this being, I was awe-stricken. I felt as if I was just floating in a mass pool of lava. Kind of like I was in the middle of a lava lamp. But the lava wasn't hot. It wasn't searing. I wasn't saying, ow, ow, get me out. I was more saying, wow, this is really comfortable. Like I'm sitting in a hot tub filled with awesome. And I don't want to get out for anything. And it was so awe-inspiring. It was so warm, so vibrant that I just attuned with it automatically. There was no need for some holy light to come on top of the mountain and just smack me on top of my head, knock me out. That's Master Usui's story, respectively. But that is more or less how I encountered Grand Source. I reached my hand up to greet Grand Source. But that is to say, I reached my hand through space and time to reach Grand Source. And through Grand Source, I found myself just at one, at peace. And it's this peace that I'm speaking from, not anything else. I do want to forward all the rest of what I'm saying is by stating that this is all just, in essence, my take, my understanding, my resonation with Grand Source. It may not be your take, your understanding, or your resonation with Grand Source. However you choose to encounter Grand Source is your choice, your matter, and your own decision. You're big boys and girls, at least I hope you are. And so I just want to make that known. I want to make that known before I go any further. That all of this is completely up to you to absorb completely or take subjectively, or take objectively with a grain of salt. You know, that's always good. And, yeah, just let it be, man. This is all a grand experiment in the cosmos, life, as we know it. Now I'm just going to take a few moments here to share this feed before I get too deep into this. But yeah, if you're listening, if you're on this feed, please, 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 please let me know. I would love to hear from you. I would love to answer your questions about anything that I have to say here. This is all just great territory and great opportunity for me to help you understand and expand. And by that realm of saying, expand, grow, and evolve. Alright, so back to the manual. I believe that Grand Source's resolution through different planes of existence, domains, and I'm going slow for a reason, emotions, realms, and thought, planes, caused for some really amazing things to happen. And I'll cover those things in just a moment. I am vigorously clicking through the interwebs, trying to ensure that you all gain this perspective of my understanding. I can't say that enough. Like, just to quickly breach this gate, when it comes down to my own personal religious experiences, I've had several. I grew up as a Christian in the Baptist faith, and it was definitely an experience. And it's one of those things that many people come out saying, ew, he grew up Christian. Well, guess what? You probably grew up Christian. You probably grew up believing in God as well. And that's fine. That's all fine and dandy, fine and valid. There's nothing wrong with believing in God. It's not going to make you icky. It's not going to make you feel like you should be burning in heaven. Get it? But it's more just something that is. A belief in God is a belief in higher self, and a belief that can carry you beyond all forms of even thinking that we are the be-all, end-all as humans. Let alone, you know, the be-all, end-all in terms of the spirit world. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Like I said before, I believe that Grand Source's resolution through different planes of existence, domains, emotions, realms, and thought planes caused for the creation of its emanations to resonate with various elements of our environment, of their environment, until they resonated as absolutes, until they became primary realms of existence, or primary modes of existence, should I say. Perception of the energy is the primary facet within essence. Each essence bearing a different yet familiar perception or structure until it is altered or transmuted. These relatively stable lower structures are referred to as domains. And I'm getting a beep. I'm going to have to be right back. But let's go ahead and keep this feed rolling. I'm going to put on some good old Chris Collins. Let's go ahead and meditate, shall we? Okay, and I'm back. Within a perception of the original idea or domain are a myriad of other spin-offs to the idea or realms. Going back into the original topic matter, we're going over grand sources, emanations, how grand source came to eventually break off to become source, to become us. I believe that grand source's resolution through different planes of existence, domains, emotions, realms, and thought planes caused for the creation of its emanations to resonate with various elements of their environment until they resonated as absolutes, until they seriously considered coming into being. After all, energy has consciousness, right? Within a perception of the idea or domain are a myriad of other spin-offs to the idea, like I said. These realms serve like organs to a respective domain. They then have an intrinsic order within them, allowing for their existence to be as permanent as well as all forms of life within their own boundaries. By simply existing as experiencing its own life cycle resolution, a realm is able to emulate a domain and create more spin-offs to how it is perceived as well. So think about it like this, alright? You've got a collider. Collider is basically a spinning top that spins so fast that it eventually just breaks off. Now, I may be speaking of something different, but either way. You have this spinning, rotating, moving object that's going so fast, that's resonating at such a high frequency, that it is eventually breaking apart. Now, that's one perception. The other perception comes in line when you experience the energy as having its own consciousness and it asks itself, is there more? It booms out amongst the planes, booms out into various aspects, planes of existence, as domains, as realms. And then finally, the spin-offs, which become planes of existence. Being much greater in number and unique in structure, the planes of existence are what most people of our world endeavor to study. walking around through the mystery instead of looking within it. So let's take a moment to break that apart even more. You have our planes of existence, which is this world, that world, that world, that world, that world, that world, and that world. You have all these various worlds, all these various places to go, so to speak. You have the dream world, you have the astral realm, you have the angelic realm, you have, well, what could be construed or understood as hell. You have various realms in between that, the draconic realm, the fairy realm. You have various realms within that. You have the Akash, which is the all essence, the book or the recorded nature of all essence, the brain of the computer, so to speak. These are all relevant as planes of existence. Then you have the big world that all these planes of existence chill out in, which would be a domain. No, you'd be a realm. And then you have a domain, which is even bigger than that, which is like a universe for these realms that chill out in. You ever see the Avengers? How the Avengers roll out? And you have the regular Earth, which is just sitting there chilling. Then you have let's see if I can't get that name right. You have Thor's realm, which is Asgard. There we go. Then you have all the other worlds that revolve around it, the galaxy. That's kind of what I'm referring to here. As you discover more worlds, there's even more worlds. And as you discover those worlds, then there's worlds that hold those worlds. It just keeps going and going and going until finally it leads all the way back to Grand Source. Divine Mother and Father. This is the part where I begin to talk about God and Goddess. I believe these emanations began to develop and split off similarly to Grand Source, thus creating fractal images of their own liking or more emanations. If the first two emanations within any place of being were love and or fear, primal drives of raw power and emotion, then it only makes sense that the first divine masculine and feminine emanations are all within these simultaneously, inevitably choosing which axiom or divine truth to flow from primarily per each emanation. That these divine parents are what grew, shifted, and split to form us. So, let's think about it in the micro. You have God, which is Holy Spirit. No sex, but is there. An emanation of Grand Source. A deity, divine being, that is neither masculine nor feminine, the closest thing to Source we can get to, or referred to as Source, that we can get to understand. Now, from him, or from it, should I say, you have Divine Mother, Divine Father. So, from God, or from Source, you have Divine Feminine, Divine Masculine. You have God, Goddess. And in that respect, God may have came before God, Goddess. But, this is only just semantics, so let's go ahead and just talk about that some. I'm using the terms God and Source interchangeably, and I'm doing this for a reason. But that's neither here nor there. As we continue to exist on our own form of divine paths, let us understand our inspired place within the world, knowing all the while that it's our choices that create our reality. So, like I said before, all of that. If you should so choose to believe all of this is doctrine, feel free. But, at the same time, don't make me a pariah or some type of, messed up guy if you don't believe in any of this. I'm simply breaking it down to you as I was gifted with this knowledge. How I'm gifted with it is in the same respects that some people are gifted with passages of the Bible. It can happen, but it may not be the truth. It may be a truth or a form of truth. It may resonate with me, resonate with my reality, but it may not resonate with you. And if it doesn't, feel free to leave me a comment. Let me know. But in any case, let's talk about the future of the healing arts. As a healer that resonates with this as an accessory to their inherent faith, it is your responsibility to then place your focus within first and foremost. And I'll say that again just because I didn't give it proper phrasing. As a healer that resonates with the understanding of a healer as an accessory to their inherent faith, as an accessory to what they believe in or what they believe they are, it is then your responsibility to place your focus within first and foremost. This is not to confuse such a manner of loving oneself or simply being selfish. There is a rather obvious difference, even if it's not visible to the naked eye. The techniques you may choose to use from here on out are up to you. That is to say, if you've listened to my entire series of podcasts from A to Z, you have all been picking up bits and pieces of the Grand Source Faith Healer Manual as expanded by me. Or you may have just picked up some witticisms. Who knows? Either way, if you have listened to my entire podcast and you're interested in the attunement, feel free to YouTube it. I'll also go ahead and place that on my Facebook page. You can feel free to check me out, Antonio Dixon. But in any case, however you choose to heal is up to you. And that's one thing I want to say before any of this other stuff comes out. However you choose to heal is up to you. Your personal technique is your personal technique. Whether it's Usui Shikiryoho, whether it's Blue Star Celestial Healing, whether it's Shambhala, whether it's Malachi, or whether it's Bibbidi Bobbidi Boop. If you resonate in full love and light doing any of those, then that's perfectly valid, perfectly fine. And as long as people aren't being harmed, more power to you. Some simply lay on hands to an affected area and allow for it to entrain or resonate to the love vibration, thus allowing for the toxic energies to transmute themselves to love, as stated earlier in the manual. Others may choose to utilize the chakras or their auric field to promote a more balanced healing approach. One common understanding is that could be used here came from the healing discipline Reiki. Such energies have an inherent intelligence, thus the entrainment transmutation process may happen on any level and any place within the body as needed. The most important thing to consider here is one's intention, and I can't bring that up enough. If your intention is to simply dump a whole bunch of healing energy on somebody, I'm gonna show the light to you, man. I'm gonna show the light to you, man. Here you go. Boom. There's a bunch of light there. It's great. It does what it needs to do. It acts on its own. That's Reiki. That's universal life force. That's you. And if your intentions of full love and light, then chances are it'll work. In the same respects, if you say, I'm gonna lay on hands and I'm gonna go from head to toe in a nice and orderly fashion, just going back and forth through the auric field, through the chakras, letting all the toxins run out through the root chakra, through the feet and down into the ground, resonate with the earth, and then I'm going to run my hands all the way back up, nice and easy, bringing in that fresh, clean earth energy. That's up to you. I encourage you to seek your own healing process, either through Grand Source, Spirit, or another discipline. This is not to be indolent, but it's simply an encouraging gesture that I wish I had when I was first starting. When I first started out, man, I thought it was some type of like alchemy, some type of math. Like I had to figure out how to go from A to B to C to D. Like I had to figure out the chakras in depth. I had to know them through and through. I had to be there, man. I had to be there. And I had to ensure that I knew everything before I even touch someone. Little did I know that all it took was love, light, positive intention, and lots of protection. Make sure you have protection. To really be in the healing process. And all of the lessons, all of the conjecture that I was taught, that I gained, all the experience that I hold, it all amounted to something massive and amazing. Don't get me wrong. Please do seek instruction. That is great. But I'm also saying that if you can't afford it, if you don't have it, if you don't feel that you need it for some reason, it's not so bad. You can still work on people. Just be careful with what you do. And, like I said, have protection. I can't say that enough. But in any case, just resonate in full love and light. Choose to resonate in full love and light, and all will be good in your world. All will be good in the world of the person you're working on. Find what resonates within, then pursue it with all of your heart. Remember, love can and will conquer any and all obstacles set before it. All you need to do from that point is allow. And that is one thing that is not being taught enough. Letting go. I just made a podcast not too long ago talking about letting go. And it's appropriate that I have this just come straight up and smack me in the face, because it's an important aspect that so many of us in the healing arts have forgotten. Letting go. Just being. We want to teach and instruct and learn so many different healing modalities that we become this powerhouse, not realizing the powerhouse that's within us. I offer the Grand Source Faith Healer Attunement in full love and light. Being as it is, being as I'm attuned, so many different modalities, to channel an attunement is probably in training you to a much higher frequency than what you were at to begin with. It's free. It's there. All you have to do is accept Grand Source, and you can too learn how to heal. You too can be a healer. I did that for a reason. I have a student right now, Carlos. He is such an amazing healer. He does so many different things that it's hard for me to keep up with. But I love the guy, and I'm really happy and thankful to have him as a student. And really, truly, sometimes he teaches me to remember all the lessons that I learned over time, and to be able to guide and help him has been so inspiring to me as a teacher that I've come around and learned that it is just an amazing feat. Healing in itself is such an amazing feat, but we forget that in light of knowledge, in light of the pursuit of knowledge, that all we have to do is let the light in and be. Then we too can heal. We too can be healers. If you have a desire to learn how to do any of this, heal that is, check out my Grand Source Faith Healer Attunement. That'll give you all the attunement energy that you could possibly need to start working on people. Then, hit me up. I'll send you a manual. And we can go from there, however you choose. But either way, this works. If you want to learn something in a more traditional manner, I teach Reiki, I teach Blue Star Celestial Healing, I teach Shambhala multidimensional healing, I teach angelic healing, I teach so many other different modalities. Just check out my page, ReikiRevan.com. If you have any desire to learn any of the traditional workings, or you could simply choose to resonate with Grand Source or a source of your choosing and be in full love and light and just lay on hands. Just try it out. That's all I'm encouraging you to do at this point, is try learning how to heal from within. Now I'm going to go ahead and end this in Reiki. And I hope and pray that you all really took something out of this. If you did, please subscribe. There will be more. I'm going to be going over and going through more material as time goes on. Grand Source is only the beginning. And I just want to take this opportunity to thank you all for your support. Even if it's just, listening for a minute, listening for a second. I'm thankful. I'm happy and thankful for each and every one of you. And I want you to know that. Love and light.